We're so fortunate to be in downtown Greensboro at William Mangum's gallery today. He is one of my favorite artists, and if you check out any of our video tours or get toured by me, I always mention Bill because he is a really famous artist in Greensboro, North Carolina, but really nationally known and one of my favorites. So thank you, Bill, for having us, and I'm excited to talk to you and to show off your gallery, which is one of my favorite places in Greensboro.
Well, I'm flattered as well. You know, you and I go back a number of years, and we hold this community dear to our heart.
Absolutely. Now, where did you grow up?
Well, my dad was in the Navy, so we traveled eastern U.S. from Newport, Rhode Island to Charleston. But my mom had a stroke when I was 8 years old, and I was brought back to North Carolina. I was born in Pinehurst, but I came back and I grew up in a little hollow called Mamers, North Carolina, on a tobacco farm.
Oh, wow. That's what I remember now.
That's right. And it was really pretty rough, pretty miserable coming from a naval base to a tobacco farm. But it was there that I learned some great principles, and I was raised by my aunts and uncles for a number of years.
That's what
and
I thought,
maybe that's the love affair I have with the rural community.
What brought you to Greensboro?
Great question. Well, for art, when I transferred from a community college, Sandhills, back in Pinehurst where I was born, there were two schools of art. One was East Carolina, home of the Pirates, great football, basketball. And then there was UNCG. And while it had a stellar art department, it had one distinctive advantage, and that was women.
Because it was the women's college.
That's right, it used to be the women's college.
Yeah, I'm a Spartan supporter. So, yeah, a big one. So I think that's a great thing we have here too. So
absolutely.
Now, do you ever do anything with them? Are you involved in their art department? Or
actually, I set up a scholarship at UNCG because Dean Shipman, when I was working my way through school, allowed me to have the opportunity to have my very first show.
Oh, wow.
There. It was in the Student Union building. I borrowed $300 from my brother. I framed up 10 paintings and I wound up selling every one of them. Wow. And I knew this is what I would do for the rest of my life. So today I give kids that same opportunity. There's a scholarship to help buy all of the art supplies and to have their very first show.
You've done a lot of your art originally was landscapes in North Carolina. And I know when I tour people around, for instance, Fisher Park, I always say that probably one of your most well-known paintings is of the park in the spring, and everyone's familiar with that. And like everyone else, I always thought of you with that kind of artwork. But then I was fortunate enough to get an invite to one of your gallery openings that I actually could come to. And I noticed your art had changed. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it amazes me what you've done.
Well, thank you. So when I was a senior at UNCG, I did not have much money like any college student. So I went and I bought a 59-cent tray of watercolors, came back to the dorm, pulled out a sheet of drawing paper, and did my first painting. I was so impressed with it, I bought a $2.98 frame, wrapped it up and gave it to my mom for Christmas. And when she opened it up, she said, "Billy, you have got to do more."
Wow.
So I took my life savings, $4.98, went back and I bought a little set of Grumbarker watercolors, and I began to teach myself that medium. And today I have created over 5,000 original paintings, but I built my brand as a watercolorist. And then about 9 years ago, I transitioned to acrylics. And today, it's a whole plethora of contemporary work to my transitional landscapes.
And I am fortunate enough to have one of his paintings, and it means a lot to me because I like the artwork in my home. I always share that there are people I love to either know or it means something. And above my fireplace, and it's one of my prized possessions, is a Bill Mangum. I will tell you, when people come in my house, and obviously we film there a lot, so I think everyone's probably seen this painting, but it's true that it really is something that everyone comments on when they walk in. You're doing something else too, which I'm fascinated with because I love how you constantly have, like, I always believe you never should think you've made it. Like, always try and do better, always try and learn new things. I mean, I enjoy that, and it challenges me, but you're doing some public speaking, or you're thinking about it, right? Or you're doing it.
Well, all along during my career, I've had the privilege of going around and sharing, my gift of art. And today, what I'd like to do is just kind of share those principles and lessons. So I use a lot of different acronyms like the art of doing business, which is alliance, aligning ourselves with brands that people recognize and they revere. And then R is being resourceful with your gifts and your talents. A lot of people think that all I do is simply do paintings, but it's the ability to leverage those paintings and to publish them, reproduce them, and that's where you make really more money, but you really extend your brand out. And then T is for tenacity. Now, you wouldn't know anything about tenacity.
I would not.
No, I wouldn't think so.
I would not. It would not sound as pretty coming from me if I said that word, but go ahead.
But, every day when you come into the studio, you face a blank canvas, and it is a bit challenging. So one of the things I always do is always leave something behind. So the next morning as I step in, I pick up where I left off. And it's a much easier transition and to create new work. The beauty, I think, that I have is the relationship with our clients, just like you. You build that trust. And I've got this wonderful little sign that says, buy art from living artists. The dead ones don't need it.
Exactly. I love that.
And
it's true.
It is true.
It's true.
And there's no more fascination than to come here to the studio. We have a lovely gallery, but it's to be able to come over and see where it's all created, to see the brushes and the paints and works in progress. And I just love that educational aspect.
Well, before we ever really got to know each other on your social media, I would see you and you posted a lot of you painting, and that's when you were transitioning. I mean, I followed you because I love your art, and it's just, but I love you more, honestly.
Well,
I think it comes from you, and I think I'm a relationship person, you're a relationship person, and that's very evident. But I love your emails too, because I get those, and it's always something to learn. You're just all around very impressive to me. So I feel so fortunate that we've been able to come in here and just visit with you.
Well, I'm flattered by that. Art can be a very intimidating commodity to buy. There's a wonderful cartoon in my bathroom. These three little kids going into the museum. And the oldest one says, now listen to me, I'll tell you what's good because I know what I like. And that's really the way you should buy art, is to purchase things that you feel good about.
If someone wanted to come visit your gallery, is it open or is it appointment only?
Well, after we closed the retail gallery after 42 years, moving into the studio really just allows me to come and go and get out in the field more often. So it's by appointment, but for the most part, we're here every afternoon. I get into the studio about 8 o'clock each morning and I paint for 5 hours, pretty much solid. And then Joy, my associate, comes in and we determine how are we going to sell what I've been created. Because annually I do about 100 originals. And that's about what we sell, which is nice.
What's your website?
Pretty complicated. It's WilliamMangum.com.
Mine's melissa.greer.com. I think
That seems
that's
to
another
work,
thing
doesn't
we
it?
have in common. So I really appreciate you letting us come visit with you. And guys, if you can, make an appointment, come look at his work. It really is amazing. But look at everything he's done to see the transformation and how talented he really is and how many different things he can do. It just amazes me. I just sell houses, that's all I can do.
Well, you're selling my paintings go on those walls.
Exactly. See, I'm an important person for you.
Very important.
No, but anyway, thanks again. I really appreciate it.